Hey everyone, hope you're having a great start to your week. I have a moment, so I decided to create a video about something I read. Very interesting, and I recommend that you read it as well. So, this is a blog from Mike King on Rank, and it talks about how page speed impacts ChatGPT and Perplexity visibility. So, what happens is basically Mike talks about an error, server error called 499. And it's not something we commonly know. We've heard about 404s, we've heard about 500 errors, and we see them in the tools as well, but we've never seen 499 error. So, what is 499 error? I think he put it very, very simply here. The client disconnected before the server could finish responding. So basically, a client sent a request to the server. The server is about to respond or started responding, but the client left. So a 499 does not mean your server failed. It doesn't mean your page is broken, like it's there and it's working. It just means that the system requesting your content decided it wasn't worth waiting for, right? It's about the time. So the request was abandoned before completion. And here is what he's seeing based off this. So he's seeing there's a clear pattern, a correlation between growth in the number of 499s compared to or corresponds to with a decline in AI visibility. So the more 499 errors you'll get, the less visibility in different AI platforms you'll get, right? And then he also here shares like a case study where there was a client that saw a sharp increase in 499s over time, followed by a suppressed visibility, and then they recovered after intervention, right? So the client saw a 22% bump in AI search visibility on the back of this fix, just by fixing 499 errors, right? And I think this is good news because it means that if you fix the errors, you can get back. Because we have this issue with Google algorithms when you're hit by an algorithm, you feel and you're doing all the fixes like helpful content update and you're doing everything you can. Sometimes you don't see recovery, right? But here we see recovery. So that's great news. So, and then Profound's data reinforces this as well. The team at Profound analyzed a random sample of 700K pages over a multi-day period in April 2026 and found a strong relationship between page reliability and whether OpenAI systems cite those pages at all. They found that pages that frequently timed out for AI crawlers, any page that has a failure rate above 75% received dramatically fewer citations interactions. On average, they saw roughly 18 times fewer citation events than more stable pages. In many cases, those pages received no citations at all. So the more 499s, the less citations. And it's not about less performance, actually. You can totally get filtered out. It's a gating mechanism, as what he calls it here. So for LLMs, it's about being eligible to start with, to be considered from the get-go, because when the LLM submits the request and then leaves early, they didn't even see your content and assess it, right? So you're not even being assessed based off content. You're not eligible from the get-go. And then here he explains why. So traditional search engines are built for completeness. AI systems are built for speed. It's the same thing we keep saying over and over. AI is different than traditional search engines. When an AI agent is assembling an answer, it is often evaluating dozens or hundreds of potential sources in parallel. Um, so I think we keep saying the same thing. Traditional search is a different system than LLMs. They work in a different way because people keep saying, hey, optimizing for search is the same as optimizing for AI. In many aspects, yes, but the way they work and the way they prioritize things, and as we've seen with the blog from Bing last week, and I'm going to discuss that in my newsletter, the search engine is prioritizing relevance while LLMs are prioritizing accuracy, and it's not the same. And I'm going to dig into that because some people are like, I want both relevant and accurate. Let's discuss that. But um, when an AI agent is assembling an answer, it is often evaluating dozens or hundreds of potential sources in parallel. And it doesn't have time to wait, right? It has to move on. If you're not here on time, they're just gonna move, right? And then he talks why this has been missed. I mean, in SEO, we've spoken about literally, or it looks like we literally spoke about every single tactic we know, so we can use it in optimizing for LLMs. We've spoken about schema. We've spoken about chunking. We've spoken about everything. Even people started talking about markdowns, right? No one spoke, or there is not enough talking about page speed. And I think the reason for that, it's very technical. A lot of SEOs are not technical. It's hard to get buy-in because it's very high cost in terms of execution, especially when you're working on enterprise websites where there is the complexity and you have the scale of the website. It's very different than if you're talking about a small Shopify website, for example. And then he talks about what you should be doing about it. Fix your backend performance, man. And then he's giving a lot of other ideas and steps. I think it's a really great read. And speaking of markdowns, he also talks here about markdown. And one of the things that can be done is serve markdown versions of key editorial pages. Depends on which side of the fence you are. If you're willing to test new things and open for new ideas, here you are. If not, I totally understand. I think this is really very interesting article to read. And you don't have to agree with everything in it, but it's definitely worth reading. I think it also highlights the importance that, once again, we should be more focused on our server log files. I have a tool that I created especially for you to be able to analyze your log files, and it's free. Just upload them here. Here's an example report. And if there's any other like dashboards or data you want me to add, please let me know. I'm open to taking feedback from the community. I also included the supported formats. You can show that to your developer. Just something to note that some people think server log files are just Google Search Console crawl stats export. It's not. So you can start here. And other than that, I hope you found this video useful and see you next video.